I'm going to go over one fact about this bull market, which is not going to be known by very many people. It's probably one of the best kept secrets of this bull market, especially the last 2 months. You're going to want to hear this, and it's going to make you much more successful of making money in this space. Okay, but first we have Heidi here, Blockchain Chick, my wife. She said, what happened to the Fort Knox audit? Yes, the Fort Knox audit that was supposed to be happening. If you've been watching this channel for a long time, you will know that that will never happen. I've been saying this never going to happen. I said, I don't think anyone really thought that this was going to happen. And surprisingly, there's people that actually thought there was going to be a Fort Knox audit. Blows my mind. First off, how are they going to audit it? Are they going to use a government audit, or are they going to use an independent audit? Like I've been in the gold space for a lot of years before entering the crypto space in 2012. And, I know about the rampant manipulation. Just type in JP Morgan silver manipulation, gold manipulation, or UBS gold manipulation. I mean, there's even pictures online showing UBS gold cut in half, and guess what's in it? Tungsten. Because why do they fill these gold-plated bars with tungsten? Because it has the same density. You can fake it pretty easily. Now, also, we have the Fort Knox. Say for instance they were going to be audited. Who's to say that they're not going to say, hey, call the Fed, hey, I need a ton of gold here, like 20 tons of gold. Can you please ship it over here? And they'll go ahead and ship it over there, and then it gets audited and then sent back. And who's to say that a lot of that gold isn't fake gold? Because it doesn't have a distributed ledger. That's why we can really trust. That's why trustless money. We have Bitcoin, all right? We know it's 21 million. We know all the addresses that own Bitcoins. We can see the transactions right there in front of us. We don't have to guess anymore. We don't need to trust governments anymore. We're just so good. Okay, moving on. I get too excited when I talk about that. So we have serious credit card delinquencies, unpaid. This is unpaid balances for at least 90 days. Rose to 12.31% in the first quarter, the highest level in 14 years. Check this chart out. I'm not lying. This is your economy right here. This is going to get much, much worse, especially as inflation goes up, which, come on. Anybody with two brain cells to put together knows that inflation is going to be out of control with what is happening right now. Plus, we have China exports to the US fell to 12.7% month on month in May. That number is going to continue. Think about it this way. The stuff on Amazon was 80% from China. Okay, so now Americans are paying a lot more because of tariffs, because you know what? The tariffs are going to be placed on the American public. That's what happens. I've told you this, okay? It's basic economics 101, and it's not going to get any better, okay? I'm just letting you know, unless they get rid of these tariffs, which I hope for my American friends that they do, that credit card debt is going to be skyrocketing, guys. You have seen nothing yet. I mean, look at that chart compared to the rest, all right? It looks like a bull market for Bitcoin, okay? Now, here we go. Bitcoin, speaking about like bull markets, we just had a flash crash to $0 on Bitcoin on MEXC. And this was a tweet from James Nguyen, the guy that got $80-90 million liquidated because he was super over leveraged and he wanted to beat the manipulators, the whales in the space. What James did was he made himself, it costs a lot of money, but he made himself very popular of being one of the most talked about traders in crypto over the past week or whatever. So yeah, anyways, Heidi's like, over the past week, well, whatever. So moving on to the Kobisi letter. Okay, it says, President Trump calls for a 100 basis point Fed interest rate cut and he says it's going to be rocket fuel for the economy, for stocks or whatever. But here's the thing, this is not going to be happening under Trump's watch. As you should know this by now, that Trump has zero say over the Federal Reserve chairman. and what he does. And even Trump was saying, listen, I'm going to get rid of the current Federal Reserve chairman, and I'm going to replace him with somebody that's going to lower interest rates, essentially. Trump has zero say. It's the private, unelected Federal Reserve. Check out the book, The Creature from Jekyll Island. It will educate you on this so that you're not like, oh, wow, he might actually have a chance. No, there's no chance, okay? Doesn't matter who's president. It could be, Bush, Cheney, or a monkey from space. It doesn't matter. It could be Superman. Not going to happen, okay? Just not going to happen. Doesn't matter. Republicans, Democrats, they're useless, okay? It's the Federal Reserve. Check out the Federal Reserve. That's all you need to be paying attention to, not these goofball politicians. Okay, moving on, we have Ross Ulbricht. $31 million worth of Bitcoin donation is suspected to come from Silk Road successor Alphabet, according to Chainalysis. Now, really cool. That's really cool that, they stepped up and gave him 300 Bitcoin. I think that's what it was. Now, it beats, having the US government or the Trump administration stealing 166,000 Bitcoin from Ross Ulbricht in order to use it for the Bitcoin Strategic Reserve. I like this. This is the free market at its best. That's really, really good stuff. And, that's why I like the free market, and I don't like government. Okay, moving on. We have the shocking stat of the day. This is Kabisi Letter. Again, really good news site on Twitter for, up-to-date stuff. Okay, 52% of U.S. consumers cannot cover $2,000 worth of emergency expenses using only savings, according to a Fed survey. As this is, I keep saying this, but it's the end of the empire here, okay? Now, we have furthermore, 31% of Americans cannot handle a $500 unexpected expenditure. That's horrible, considering it's the richest nation in the world. What? A record 37% of respondents described inflation and prices as their main financial challenge in 2024. Those are the good old days. By comparison, in 2023, 2022, and 2016, this percentage was 35%, 33%, and 38% respectively. Now, inflation remains a major issue for Americans. They have not seen anything yet when it comes to inflation. And these are, this is the Fed survey here. So these inflation numbers, like nowadays, are much worse than 37%. Come on, guys. Inflation has been rising and rising and rising, and things will continue to cost more and more. Considering this, the Fed prints about $1 trillion every 80-something days. Just remember this. It took 190 years for the U.S. to create its first $1 trillion in debt. Then it took like 20-something years to go ahead and create another like $18 trillion in debt, and now we're just going skyrocketing. So this is where we are right now. It's the end game. You can't cushion, you can't rationalize your way out of this. It's just not going to happen, okay? That's why we are so into getting second citizenships, making sure people are in Bitcoin. Now, people wonder why I talk about Monero as well as Bitcoin side by side. I think that first off, in the future, when CBDCs or stablecoins become government stablecoins, you're going to definitely want to hedge against privacy invasion. And for many of you actually don't understand this, but Bitcoin isn't anonymous. It's pseudo-anonymous. Great. 21 million Bitcoin. Perfect. It's great. And it's the strongest network in the history of the world, never been hacked. Perfect. But you're also going to want something that is going to just kind of have no trace, especially when you have CBDCs out there. And this is why all these people that are saying, oh, it's just Bitcoin and the rest are garbage and crap coins, these guys are just lazy. They're so utterly lazy because they don't want to learn about anything other than what they're comfortable with. And that's pathetic, in my opinion. Moving on. So this is Tech Dev on Twitter. In the past 2 months, 8 days have been responsible for 99% of the moves from $75,000 to $110,000. The other 52 days were chop. This is where whales just use their beautiful talent to take people's money that are impatient and try to trade every little tiny move in crypto. And that is why you see so many depressed people on Twitter, because they're not patient. They should be hodling. They should be buying during a bear market, which is what we do at learningcrypto.com. You all know I was buying the very bottom of the bear market last time, and I've just sold a little bit at about $110,000. And you know that if you're part of learningcrypto.com. Moving on back to the post, this is how it has always been and how it will continue to go. He's absolutely right on this. This is beautiful. The legs will get even steeper. Missing those 8 days is very risky. What does that mean? It means that if you're trying to trade, you're probably going to get sidelined like the majority of people on YouTube and Twitter. They're all sidelined right now, guys. They're all sidelined because the market moved against them because they weren't in the market for those 8 days. Kind of sucks. I don't want you to be in that. Listen to channels like me and others who were bullish and who hold and buy during bear markets and sell during bull markets. And we can speak from real experience for over a decade, okay? Talk to you guys soon.